Many of you probably familiar with the Bullard camera. Bullard's a very popular camera. Next to Argus, I think they make the toughest housing on the market. It's almost firefighter proof. I don't know if there is such a thing as firefighter proof, but Bullard has the claim to fame. They come out, they throw it on the ground, they throw it in the fire, they throw it underwater. It's tough. I may or may not have accidentally left a vendor's camera in there for 47 minutes and had to apologize to a very nice man who helped me in LA County. His camera was mounted at the other end of the flashover container, and we were doing the 360 evolutions, and we forgot his camera was in there recording. That camera had looked like a big zit on it from where it heated up, and the screen where the display is melted. We let it cool off. He changed the screen, and it still worked. I've never seen a camera take that type of beating. It has a dynamic range or temperature range up to 1100 degrees. It has one of the more narrow field of view. It's a 31 by 40. Has ergonomics that are kind of like a flashlight. So you can't really gangster grip this one, because if you do, you're turning it sideways, you're looking around a corner. It has high and low sensitivity and has two color palettes. If you have the NXT, which they're both really the same. One is TI Basic and one is Super Red Hot, but has a little slight difference because one is without the spot temperature, one is with the spot temperature. It has X Factor, which is image enhancement. Bullard and FLIR and Seek are the only ones that have what I consider image enhancement that really makes a difference in their clarity. You can see the difference in detail. It's like it adds lines to the objects in the background. It has one of the longest distance to spot ratios on the market at 57 feet. It could pick up a heat signature at 1 foot. That's where it was calibrated. It has an over temperature rating of 500 degrees for 5 minutes internally. However, I think it's much higher than that based on what I've seen and what I've seen done to it. It also has an application mode called thermal throttle, which if you are good with that particular application mode is a game changer in helping you find problems. If you think about the United States ran 1 million fire calls last year, they ran 3 million false alarms. 3 million. So you ran over 3 times the amount of smells and bells looking for the problem. You're not using it as much in the fire as you're using it to find an overheated light ballast, to find an overheated cord or a problem. So that would be a very beneficial feature. This is their proprietary color palette. It's been around for a long time. It's black, gray, white, and then it kicks in color in low sensitivity. When you see a yellow, you're starting at 500, goes up to 799, orange at 800, red at 1,000. When it kicks into red, it will not show detail behind the red. Yellow, orange, and gray, you will see colorization. You'll see detail within the colorization. That is an NFPA requirement that says details within colorization shall remain resolvable up to the point of saturation. In other words, the manufacturer can overlay color over a grayscale image, but you got to see through it up to their max temperature range. When it hits their max temperature range, they give them a loophole and say, you don't have to let them see through that anymore. And it's literally stop sign red. You're not seeing through it at that point. That's 1,000+ degrees at a minimum. This is an example of an NXT image with X Factor. As you can see, the burn barrel is really crisp, clear. You can see the metal creasing and stamps in it. You can see the pallets. You can see the studs in the wall. You see the battery bars. NFPA says the battery bars should be 30 minutes per battery bar minimum, with 4 battery bars equating to 2 hours of runtime. Bullard, on the other hand, says 8 hours. I've gotten more than 8 hours out of theirs. Bullard and Seek are the only ones that have that long of a runtime. That's pretty impressive. The green triangle means low sensitivity. The color bar on the right tells you what your approximate range you're in. Remember, that's apparent temperature. And then the spot temperature we know we don't use in fire attack. If you use a newer NXT, when you turn it on, that spot temperature will not be there on one of the 5 certified models per NFPA. So if you want to see what those are, there's a company called SEI.net or Intertech Testing. I can send you the link, and you can pull it up and you can check what a 2021 thermal imaging camera is. It'll say the ones that met the standard. So if you're using AFG funds from the federal government, you have to buy NFPA certified cameras, current NFPA ones, not older ones. This is what the Bullard camera looks like going from high to low sensitivity. So we're going to start in the heat. It's in low sensitivity. We'll go to the floor. I'm going to pause it for a second. So we'll start here. This is high sensitivity. I would say that no other camera has better grayscale than Bullard does from 0 to 230 degrees. You can see the blades of straw on the floor. You can see the casters. You can see the bolts in the casters. But watch when we go up. Number one, 0.3 of a second, it switches. It's fast. Go back down to the floor. Boom. Very little lag. So give them credit for that. It's a very fast camera. It uses something called a vanadium oxide detector, which is a military grade detector. Those detectors to me have better grayscale and convection currents. But what I want you to notice is when we go up top, the image starts to darken down in the cooler images. This is where most cameras have problem, is in low sensitivity. Bullard from 0 to 230 degrees, nobody's going to touch them in that temperature range. So if you're using a Bullard and you get low and keep it in high sensitivity, you should be able to see exceptionally well. In low sensitivity, it still shows convection currents really, really well. I always said it was a truckie's dream camera because it was a flow path diagnostic camera. And then if you got low with it, you could find anything you wanted. This is where most cameras, including the Bullard, do have an issue, though. If you're looking at high heat, the cooler regions can darken down. So watch this video where we have a fire moving left to right. You will see the convection currents, and everything down low is kind of dark. You see a stove, a door frame, look what looks like stairs. But when I drop it down where the heat's out of the field of view, look how crisp and clean the picture is in high sensitivity. Remember I said emissivity can be an asset or a detriment to you as a firefighter? That's a stainless steel stove, a shiny metal door handle, and then you got metal staircase railings, all that reflect energy. So that camera makes those stick out, and those metal walls or that corrugated tin-like stuff you see in burned buildings, it reflects a lot of energy. And to the camera, it shows up as a different temperature, even though it's not. It's still just as hot, but it's reflecting that energy and it gives it contrast. So the camera says, wow, look at the difference. It has a contrast to it. You can see the victim in the floor. You can see a lot of things if it's in high sensitivity. Whereas if I look at these side by side, you can see the comparison and why this matters. That's why I tell people the camera's only as good as the hands it's in. You put a well-trained firefighter and give them any camera, they'll outperform any firefighter with an awesome camera with no training. It's just a fact. Just like a good nozzleman with a bad nozzle and bad hose. They're still going to do better than, somebody who has no hose movement training. So look at the high sensitivity photo and the low sensitivity photo. Notice that both of those spot temperatures is something we don't trust. We have heat moving around the corner. The fire room is literally around the corner to the left. That's how close we are. But we have all grayscale. I would say if Bullard does have a downside, is it's showing temperatures late at 500 degrees.